not just a little bit, sometimes by as much as 40%. And that's not because they suddenly started working more hours, but it's because they actually had focused time to build their business. They had time to think, time to create, time to move their work forward. And this is where this conversation becomes bigger than just someone's individual choices. A lot of people say, well, can't they just figure out that work-life balance? But what we call work-life balance is actually care infrastructure. It's families who have support so that their opportunities can expand. And when people don't have that support, when they don't have that care infrastructure, people end up trying to carry this impossible load alone. Hello, and welcome back to the Nature to Nurture podcast. I'm Tiffany, the host, and if you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you found this episode, and I'm glad that you're joining us for the ride. Today, I'm just sitting in this intersection of all of the things that I work on, that I work for, that I believe in, and that I bring in my daily life. And that's exactly what this podcast is. You see, this podcast sits right at the intersection of family, of caregiving, and of the systems that actually shape how we raise our children. And at the heart of it all, what I really, really hold deeply, and what I hope you also will learn from this and gain from this, from every episode, is that children thrive when families thrive. And families thrive when we build lives that actually support care. And so today, I want to talk about something that's going to sit right in the middle of that very idea: building a business while raising kids. If you look around right now, it seems like every parent, especially mothers, are starting businesses. And oftentimes we hear these stories as entrepreneurs that sound like freedom, more flexibility. You're going to have more control over your time. It's a way for you to be more present with your kids. But there's a part of the story that oftentimes we don't talk about. And it's the reality that caregiving and entrepreneurship are both full-time responsibilities. And neither one of them really works well without support. So today I want to talk just a little bit about what that looks like. And it's not the polished version, it's the real version. But before we dive in, if this episode really resonates with you, I encourage you to join my newsletter. After this episode, I'm going to be sending out a list of practical ways that you can support both your work and your family life in my Friday newsletter. So find that down in the show notes. And if you're already on the list, you can always just hit reply and let me know what really resonated with you from this episode. So when I really thought about this topic, I realized something interesting. I did not start businesses because I wanted to be a business owner. I really started businesses because I wanted to have control over my time with my kids. That right there was the real motivation. Early in my career, I jumped into childcare work, and that decision actually came from really practical needs. You see, I was a mom, and so I needed to have childcare, and I needed to have financial stability. So I needed both work and childcare. And it solved both problems if I could do childcare and work at the same time. My kids could be with me while I worked, and we could go home at the same time, and maybe, if I was lucky, there would be a discount for the care. But later, after I started my other businesses, consulting business, cleaning business, the motivation, it was very similar. Very similar. You see, I created something that allowed me to work while my kids were at school. And that meant I could schedule my work all around their lives. I could take time off during school vacations. I could show up for the things that matter. I even eventually moved to homeschooling them as well. And I realized something deeper. You see, I wasn't just building businesses. I was actually designing my life around the caregiving that I wanted to give to my kids. And that shift right there changed how I actually think about work entirely. Parents, especially mothers, have been fed this myth recently that sounds like you can build a thriving business, and you can be fully present with your kids, and you can run a household, and you can manage everything. You can do it all. And I believe that parents can build meaningful work and have strong families. But there's a truth that doesn't get talked about enough. You cannot do everything at the same time. You definitely cannot do it alone. There was a time when I tried really hard to do that. I grew a business. I was trying to be fully present with my kids. I was running the household, keeping it clean, holding everything together. And eventually I realized something important. Some of those things that I was juggling in life, those are glass balls. And some of those things are rubber balls. And if you're juggling too many things at once, something is going to drop. Yikes. And the real question becomes, which balls are glass and which ones can bounce? And one more for me, which ones were never yours to juggle? You see, the glass balls, that's my family. That's the relationship with my children, the relationship with my husband, the relationship with all of my extended family members. That's the house that I live in and care for. That's my community. And some of them can bounce back. Some of them are resilient. But some things like that trust, those relationships, once glass breaks, it's broken. You cannot fix it again. Reminds me of that Bernstein Bears book about the broken lamp. I'll see if I can find it and link it down below. So studies actually show that 76% of parents who work say that having children actually increases their motivation at work. And so clearly, becoming a parent does not make you less ambitious. In many cases, it's actually increasing how much purpose you feel that you have and how much you have to give. But here's where things get really complicated. More than 50% of parents say that they struggle to find consistent care. Consistent quality care would be even better, right? And when childcare isn't available, when childcare isn't affordable, reliable, a lot of parents end up trying to do two things at once. They work and they have the kids with them. I think COVID exacerbated this for everybody, but it is still going on. In fact, there are some employers that believe, of course, you can work at home while you care for your kids. And whether you're doing that as an employee or whether you're doing that out of basic need, you're starting a business, whatever it is, when that happens, both of those things become harder. Work and family. Research looking at women entrepreneurs has shown that when mothers gain access to resources such as reliable childcare, their business revenue can increase significantly. Not just a little bit, sometimes by as much as 40%. And that's not because they suddenly started working more hours, but it's because they actually had focused time to build their business. They had time to think, time to create, time to move their work forward. And this is where this conversation becomes bigger than just someone's individual choices. A lot of people say, well, can't they just figure out that work-life balance? But what we call work-life balance is actually care infrastructure. It's families who have support so that their opportunities can expand. And when people don't have that support, when they don't have that care infrastructure, people end up trying to carry this impossible load alone. So what does it actually look like in real life? Well, I have been there, I have done that, and I am doing that. I'm still on this process. I don't know that it ever ends. I think that we are always continuously trying to figure out how to align our life with our values, right? And for me, myself, one of them is caregiving needs to be a priority. And what I've learned is that in order to build that, and in order to build something meaningful in my work, I needed to create some systems that could really support me. One simple shift that I made was creating small windows of focused work time. I just want to talk about this podcast, for instance. I spend maybe 90 minutes a week or less working on this podcast. And I have to find a window where I can plug that in, and it's not while I'm caregiving, because I cannot do both at the same time. For any business that I've built, I've had to figure out how to differentiate. Even with homeschooling, I could not homeschool and run a business at the same time, which means I needed help in that caregiving, right? I had to ask for some support. Another shift that you can do is looking at one task that you can actually stop carrying all by yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to hire someone. Sometimes it means that you can do grocery pickup instead of grocery shopping. And it is hard sometimes for me to get that list done, but I have it on my calendar. I make my meal plan. I put my list into Walmart. We go and we pick it up, and it saves us an extra hour and a half a day. And not only an hour and a half a day, but I actually get all of the food I need for the whole entire week. And so we're not wasting time going out to go get more food, or going to the grocery to get more store to get more food, or at home trying to figure out what to cook because I didn't get the right food, right? Maybe it could be having your kids help with some chores instead of you doing it alone. My children are responsible for folding the clothes in the laundry every single load, and for putting the dishes away in the dishwasher every single load. 2 simple tasks that sure take a lot of the responsibility off of my shoulders. Maybe you can find a friend or a neighbor you can trade childcare with. And a big one, asking for help when you need it. One powerful shift that I mentioned here at the end is something that I want you to think about as a care circle. And it's something that you need to build. Care was never meant to happen in isolation. From the beginning of time, for generations, caregiving happened within communities. There were grandparents, siblings, tias, neighbors, friends. Even just 1 or 2 people that you can add to your care circle that can help support can make a huge difference. I encourage you to find who's that one person that I can call on. What kind of a trade can we create so that we can each win in this caregiving? The last thing I want to share with you is the creation of rhythms. This has helped me tremendously, and I have shared it with you about family rhythms, daily rhythms for family. I've also created rhythms for work, and within those rhythms, it has a start and an end, right? And that's similar to the containers in which I work. So when I'm working, I'm not caregiving. And when I'm with my family, I'm with my family, and I am not working. That doesn't mean that I do it perfect every time. I am still working on this one, and like I said, I'm still growing too. But it does mean that I'm consciously not planning things that overlap, and I'm consciously not trying to do both things at the same time. Those rhythms right there really help to create clarity. They protect my work, and they protect my family time, which is why when I finish this episode in just a few minutes, the computer will be closed for the rest of the day, and it's family night. Find those boundaries and value those boundaries. Even if you do have an employer, I encourage you to figure out what those values are and create your boundaries around work with that as well. And it could be simply as, when I leave the office, I don't respond to emails or text messages. So it's time. I'm looking at the clock. I'm going to leave you here with a question. Instead of asking yourself, how can I do it all? Try asking yourself, what is one thing that I can stop carrying alone today? Maybe it's something in your business. Maybe you do need to outsource. Maybe it's something in your home. Maybe it's simply asking for some help. Sometimes the smallest shifts can completely change the rhythm of your life. At the heart of everything that I talk about here is this belief. Care for your kids, for any child, is not a distraction from work. You see, care is the foundation that allows life to flourish. And when children are supported, families are stronger. And when families are supported, communities are stronger. And when communities value caregiving, we create a world where both people and opportunity can thrive. I want to thank you so much for jumping on here with me today. And if this episode resonated with you, I would truly love to hear from you. The easiest way you can do that is to reach out to me through my newsletter, join the list, just hit reply to the next email that you get. And I would love to hear from you. Number one, what is one thing that you could stop carrying alone right now? You don't have to share it with anyone. You can keep it private. You can email me. I'd love to know. And I'd love to know what you guys think of the new sound for the podcasts. I've been recording them outside, and I've got my dogs. They make noise. We have birds. We have wind. And so honestly, please let me know. You can leave me comments over on Spotify, or you can send me an email here. Either way works. But again, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the deeply important work of raising the humans in your life. I'll talk to you next week.